All right, so here we are, Cutler Cast, episode 15. We're just coming off a crazy holiday weekend, Black Friday, Cyber Monday. Everyone's running.
You're not going to mention that I almost just broke this chair?
No, that was just the adjustment. So we have, this is obviously is a big weekend for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Seems to be the biggest shopping day, travel.
So what did you, well, I already know, but what did you do on Thanksgiving?
Dude, we had a schedule to try to eat sushi because we thought sushi would be open.
But it was supposed to be open. Like, I even researched it ahead of time, and all these places are, hey, we're open on Thanksgiving. And
even when we looked it up, it was said, okay, it's open, and we tried calling. We didn't get it. So to give you guys a little insight, normally I go back to Massachusetts. It's where my whole family is. I was just back there about 3 weeks ago as I promoted an event. My family had COVID, so there was a little concern. I know that they were limited on who was going to show up for Thanksgiving. So I kind of just decided, you know what, I'm probably not going to fly back. And listen, I'm just not enjoying traveling at this point just because of, you just never know what you're walking into in certain situations and delays and everything else. And the airlines, a lot of people are going on strike, you hear all these stories. So I decided to stay home. Last minute, Angie decided to go see her family in Jersey, which was great because she hadn't been able to spend any Thanksgivings with her family for quite a number of years. Usually what we do is we take Thanksgiving with my family and then we do Christmas with hers. So we kind of, treat each family that way. And I did not want to travel. So for me, I decided to stay home. I was working because obviously we had to get a lot of prep ready for Black Friday for Cutler Nutrition, Otomics, Trifecta, a lot of content, make sure everything was smooth, and of course Cyber Monday.
How were sales for you and your brands compared this year compared to years in the past?
You know what, I want to say that we did. I did not really compare it. I think we did the best because we started early. I think. What's crazy we talk about Black Friday, and it used to be like, okay, Black Friday deal on Friday. Mm-hmm. Now it's like people start on Monday prior to, and then they run through. I mean, I think I'm still running Cyber Monday today, which is Thursday, right? So I think for me, it was great in all aspects. I think there was a lot of excitement. I don't do crazy giveaway deals. So I think the max I did was 30% off, and I didn't give necessarily a lot of stuff away. It was based on how much was spent. So I think people jump on the discounted products. And I know, J-Mac, you bought a TV, right? How big? 65. Yeah, so 65.
He's got all the money.
No, I mean, He's building that new house right now. He's doing a lot of construction. So, he's learning on YouTube. That was pretty impressive.
So how much stuff did you have to ship out? Because I know
I only do memorabilia. So it was busy. I mean, we did, spend money, get a free poster. We did, I think, 30% off. I matched what was on the nutrition website. So it's been extremely busy. I mean, it will be my best month I've ever done on the site, which now – these are live. This is the new bobblehead. It's limited, which, it has the J. Cutler signature belt. It has the Atomic shoes and, of course, the headband from the Cut Above DVD.
And if people knew how long it took to get those here. When did that start? Like, I think March or February?
Process started, a guy contacted me. Mm-hmm. I know I put you kind of in touch, and I put you in the mix a little bit. And, we had all this lockdown stuff with China. So as soon as I paid, all of a sudden he said, oh, they held up shipping. I'm like, this guy's, something's going on. But no, it worked out great. And I just got the last box yesterday. So I had 500 total. So there was actually 21 boxes, by the way. I think you said 20.
It was like 20.8.
Yeah, so I had 21 boxes. So the last one showed up yesterday. So now we have everything in-house. But I was like kind of nervous because like 8 showed up and then 4 showed up. And then it's like there was a gap, and I was like, damn.
Because I remember you were like, how many are in those boxes? And I went on the side, I'm like, there's only 16 or something.
And and the crazy part is with the holidays, there's just like random people pulling up to my house. Some girl pulled up in like a little hatchback car, and she's at my gate, and she's like, oh, I have delivery for you. And I'm like, what the hell? And she opens up her hatchback, and it's like her whole car was filled, like even the front seat, like you couldn't even see out the windows. So, you know, she's like, oh, I have your boxes. And when I popped them out, I was like, oh, it's my bobbleheads. And she goes, you must be a really famous person to have your own bobblehead. Because she saw the name. It says J. Cutler Bobblehead on it. And so it was pretty cool.
I actually noticed that. I got my trifecta food this week, and it was delivered from a different carrier. It wasn't FedEx or UPS. And they delivered it in a normal car, popped the trunk open. It came, you know, they screwed up the shipping, and it came like a day late. And it was a normal person driving up. I'm like, man, like, it's not like it used to be where the big, huge truck pops up. You know, I remember reading an article that they have these cars that Amazon has where a package will literally be delivered in like a car that's ran by the satellite, and it'll deliver it and drop it off at your place. Yeah, I think certain
regions, yeah.
Have you seen it yet?
I haven't seen it. It's in California, I think.
Wow.
But, you know, so we basically, we did not get to have a Thanksgiving meal, which we neither of us care about,
no,
right?
No.
I don't take Thanksgiving as like, it's supposed to be a time for thanks, right? And we appreciate it, but everyone's like, oh, it's a time to pig out and have pies and desserts. We didn't have any of that, so we ended up going the next night for sushi, and, you know, obviously Angie was away till Monday, so I got a lot of work done. I ended up going through my house and going through my office and just, you know, getting things more organized, and it was a good time to kind of catch up because this has been the slower part of the year. We're not traveling as much. We didn't have a lot of stuff going on other than, you know, the sales that were happening, but everything has gone kind of online and digital for me. Yeah. And a lot of my distribution is there. So that's been what's been kind of ideal. You know?
I stayed home the whole day. I didn't even leave the house because when we started trying to go find somewhere to eat, but I did the same thing. I watched a couple TV shows here and there, and I kind of went through like my closet, like in my spare bedroom. I went through my closet and was like, do I need this? Do I need this? And I started boxing stuff up that I'll go take to a Goodwill or something.
I bring everything to Fit Club.
Yeah.
Anything I have left over at my house, I just bring it to Fit Club. And
I know, and it's like, it looks like sharks in the water there. As soon as you walk in, it's everyone
knows I'm coming for it, man.
And of course, and then the next day we'll be training. You'll be like, yep, that was my shirt. I put that in there. That guy has my shirt. That girl's drinking this. It's like,
so talk a little bit about the contest, because we did have a couple contests. Then we do have something coming up.
So Tamer and Tarek had a show in
muscle contest
show in Brazil, and I think Rio de Janeiro, and they had all the top wellness girls, because most of them live in Brazil except Urishna. They all competed, and the reigning Miss Wellness Olympia, Francielle, she won that show. So it's not very often that a reigning Olympia champion goes and competes in a show, unless it's like right before, like right after the Olympia, before or after, like you used to do, or the Arnold in Ohio. They usually don't, you know, do these other shows. So it's kind of different to have someone several months after the Olympia. There was plenty of other shows to just go do this show, but all the other top girls did. So she won that. Mm-hmm. And then we had the big man show in Spain, which usually has a bunch of, you know, it's always had one or two of the other big names, but I don't know if they didn't this year compared to years past because of the restrictions and whatnot. But Angel Calderone won the open show.
I saw Instagram videos. I follow him on Instagram, and remember we talked about, you know, Chris's guy, the young 22-year-old bodybuilder from Germany, that was possibly going to win the show because, you know, he ended up getting second, and you know, I heard Chris say that he thought he should have won, but Angel, man, was I saw like an Instagram like days prior or whatever. He was peeled like crazy.
Look, and he's a 212 guy. He got fourth.
Yeah,
in 212 at
the
Olympia.
I think he won a show a couple weeks ago too.
I think he's
a 212.
He may have. I'm not sure if he did, but I just know this is the second time in a year where a 212.
Well, I know he qualified for both.
Well, he was fourth,
okay.
so
he's already requalified. But I think he won another 212 show.
He may have
since then, and now
he won an open show.
He's also won an open, and I know there's like now you have two guys that are requalified for both, right?
Yes, him and Shaun. So now if you were in either one of their camps, and from what I understand, they're not going to let them do both. They have to choose. If you were Shaun, would you do the 212 again? Yes. Or would you go do the open? Or if you're Angel, what would you do?
If I was Shaun, I would do 212 again. With Angel, I would probably – but listen, I would do the 212, both of them, probably at the Olympia stage, but I would go do other pro shows I mean, Angel's here, Shaun's here, so there's other shows that they can do. I think both of them would do really well in open shows that qualify, and possibly even win it. I just think, if they go to the Olympia, I don't know about Angel, what his height to weight ratio necessarily is, but he may be one of these guys that we talk about, like a Hadi Chupin or, Derek Lunsford, who have a shot to go towards the open classes, right?
See, I think I agree with that with Angel. If I were Shaun, in just my personal opinion, I would go tackle the open. He's already won the 212, so he's already in history. And we know this, a lot of times going into the open, there's only a couple guys that are in crazy shape. Shaun's always in crazy shape. Yeah. So could he hypothetically knock off some big names that are off?
The chances is a lot of the big guys are going to come in off.
Yeah.
Okay, that's. I mean, look at we witnessed that with this show where he beat a Sergio and
he beat Regan,
and
Cedric
who are great. Which, we think Regan could be top 10.
Yeah.
In
the open
2022. Sergio, we believe, will get there. Right, we just saw him; he's gigantic. So I think I think it just depends on. Okay, you have to look at what your capability is at the time. I think Shaun, listen, he's a former. He lost the title. I would want redemption to win it back. So for him, I would go to the 212. If I was Angel, who got fourth, I mean, I would look at it and say, okay, what happens? I mean, his condition's amazing.
Yeah,
he's got great structure, and he's pretty round.
Is Angel close to that 212 mark? Because I know Shaun's
has to be. I mean, dude, he's stacked up. I don't. Yeah. He's not as short as Shaun, like no one is, right? Yeah. Shaun's the shortest one in 212, I believe, you know? So I think, looking at it, it's a big decision. But if I was Angel, I would definitely go do another pro show and see where he fares.
See if he does it well.
I mean, do like a New York pro or an Indy pro or...
I mean, he could have went and did Toronto. Yeah. Toronto's this weekend.
Yeah, of course. Maybe he is.
I don't know. I should look that up.
Maybe he is. We have Toronto. I mean, we know Stanimel's going. We know Quinton.
Those are the only two I know
who's a Canadian.
For sure.
I think it's a little hard because getting into Canada is a little tight right now with restrictions. And dude, it's after.
Where's Angel from?
He's from South America, but I think he lives in Florida.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if he could or couldn't get in there. But look, he could if he won that show.
How much is the prize? $10,000?
Yeah. Any open show is always a minimum.
It's kind of weird because the Toronto Pro is usually in April. I believe next year it is, right? Or
it's usually in the summer.
Or May or June or something?
I want to say June or July because it was always around the time of the American Fitness
So
Expo.
let me ask you this. So next year, is it moving back to the summer?
I'm assuming it'll be back to the normal. Okay. I think there was restriction issues, and that's why they moved.
It's kind of weird, have shows this late in the season, especially things that have
There's been a ton of shows after the Olympia.
But the Toronto Pro has a lot of history. I mean, I remember like Milos and all those guys used to compete there, and I watched Guy compete there before. I used to go up every year to that show, and it was always great. Ron Hashi runs that show, and he always treated us great. He used to bring me, Coleman, Dexter. He brought Phil Heath one year, all of us together for the Toronto Super Show. It was great.
I've been there. I think I've been to it twice.
But, I look at Toronto as one of those places. I consider it like California where it's like, man, we're just so restricted. I mean, L.A., I was talking to Brian Glynn, who, works a lot with us with the graphic stuff and everything. And he's going for Comic-Con this weekend. And he just texted me and he said, hey, weren't you in California last week or something? I said, yeah. He goes, yeah, they're restrictive. It's all masks at this Comic-Con that I'm going to at the L.A. Convention Center. I said, yeah, it's L.A. County,
Yeah. But it's different. As soon as you go out of L.A. County south, they don't have the restrictions. It always comes down to whatever the local mayor of that
it's
county
just, it's
decides.
just, there's a lot of craziness going on right now. And, my thoughts is just keep moving, right?
Yeah. This next year, I think going into the Olympia, there's going to be a lot of people, like, a lot of people qualified, because, in the past, sometimes two guys will win 2 or 3 of the same show or whatever, and it'll take, but I think there's going to be a ton of open guys qualified this year.
Yeah, so a little takeaway from our last conversation, I did mention, our goal, I was a Weider athlete, so we were paid by Weider to basically, okay, your goal is to get to the Olympia. It's my contest, it's Joe's contest. So we were paid, a contract to basically, okay, compete. They covered the expenses. And I mentioned, the last episode, like, there's a lot of optional shows for people to compete in.
Yeah.
Now, not all of them are going to pay expenses. I mean, when I did Night of Champions, I don't think they paid my expenses. They may have paid like 5 top guys to show up and say, hey, well, I pay for your room and your flight. I don't know if I did, because remember, a lot of international people come. So this is vice versa, international versus domestic. So there's a lot of contests, but you said budget $3,000 to fly or whatever else. I mean, it's probably even more for certain international people.
It could be way more for some
because
people.
You're taking someone with rental cars. We didn't even consider right now to rent a car for a day. It's $100-something. Most places.
In a lot of places, you're there for 4 or 5 days.
I mean,
you're out $1,000.
When I went to, I mean, Angie just rented a car when she was in Jersey, dude. It was $500 for like a smaller car. I mean, we're not going to rent a Corolla, right?
When we went to Reno this last time, just think about it. Regan went up there. He brought his coach, him, myself. We rented an Airbnb.
The food.
I
mean, you had trifecta.
We had trifecta. We brought most of the food with. But
and
still,
plus you eat out, right?
You still eat out afterwards.
The gym expense to enter the gym.
Yep. But then we had to rent. We rented a minivan because that was the best deal we got. Yeah. But it was definitely over $3,000. But, you had multiple people coming. Yes, now, instead of we just got a big Airbnb house. I think it was like $1,300 or $1,400 for the time we were there. But that was better than getting 3 separate rooms. Because then you have to get a room with a kitchen, and it just made it a little easier. But you can spend a lot if you're doing an international show. You could easily drop $5,000.
But I qualified in my first Olympia by placing 4th at the Arnold and 3rd at the Ironman. So the top 3 at the Ironman would qualify in the top 5 at the Arnold.
Yeah.
And I believe Night of Champions, which is now the New York Pro, was also top 5. Now they've changed that.
Yes.
Because there's a lot more available shows.
Way more. So think about it. Way more. Think about, as far as I remember back then, there was always a Night of Champions, the Ironman, the Arnold.
Toronto Pro.
Australia Pro.
Yeah, but that was after. I mean, but let's not even talk about, talk about U.S. shows.
Okay.
Like, let's talk about U.S. So you had basically.
Ironman was the first show, then the Arnold.
Yep.
I know one year they had the San Francisco Pro.
Yeah, but that was always after. That popped up after, but it was Night of Champions, which is New York Pro.
That's 3.
And
Toronto, we'll just say Toronto 4.
And then they had the European Tour, after the Olympia.
Yeah, so there wasn't a ton of shows.
No, there wasn't.
Now there's a lot.
Yeah, like that was it. So that's why in our era, like it was very limited, right? But there's a lot more people competing now.
Yeah.
So there's no way a promoter can pay when you have all these divisions.
Yeah.
It's there's sanction fees and there's setup and everything else. The stage isn't cheap. Having stage hands, having the venue that sells the tickets. I mean, I promote on the local level, and I mean, it gets expensive.
Of course.
And you're limited with sponsors because there's only so many people that want to come in and sponsor the events. I mean, ideally we go after local sponsors, right? So, whether it's a car dealership or a local restaurant or whatever, so they can title the shows, and then obviously you got to give tickets away to those people, but. Drawing people to your contest too. I mean, you start having pro shows, you got to get the prize money together, and then you have to, you should finance a couple of the athletes to come in to get the big names, right?
If you get a big name.
But it's just a lot more shows now, so you have, that's why I understand why they did the point system.
Yeah.
But I loved the way it was. But remember, we were limited.
Yeah.
So
so if you only got 4 or 5 shows, all the big names are doing all the shows.
So you had it I understand why then the top 5 or 3 qualified, and now they do not. But like I said, I was just disappointed, and I said it straight in the podcast, like, hey, get in early. We talked about Sergio now getting in early, and hopefully Kuklo the same. And listen, the window starts running short as you get a little older, right?
Of course.
And looking back now, I have no regrets of, I should have done this or that. The only, like I mentioned, the O2 Olympia I sat out. I probably wish I almost did that because I was qualified. But, you move on and whatever else. But, I want to pivot a little bit into the athletes. We talked about athlete management. That's what you've done.
Yeah.
I hate to call you Manager Matt because it just sounds so like you wear a lot of hats, right? Yeah. I mean, you've worked in a lot of different arenas, and you do a lot of different things other than just management, right?
Yeah.
But it seems like everyone's reaching out to you right now more than ever,
yeah,
because you have some pretty heavy hitters that are utilizing your service, which is your relationships, right?
Yeah. In the last couple of years, I've noticed things have changed a lot, and I don't know I don't know where to point the finger at it, but what's happened now is the contracts back when you were in your heyday, people were paid to use their likeness. And the company took that likeness and did what they had to do to generate sales. Now you have companies that want to bring athletes on, but they don't want to just use the likeness. They want the athlete to do the marketing for them. They want them to
be a salesman.
They want them to be a salesperson. And I don't like that, because if you think an athlete is going to, how do I say this? If you look at an athlete as just a salesperson, you're discounting all the other stuff that they bring to the table. Their fan base that they've built up over the years, their likeness, their ability to go do expos or travel or do these other things. You're strictly judging them on how much sales they can bring to the table. And I don't think that's fair, because if an athlete posts something, and let me kind of rewind this. Part of the reason this has happened is there's a lot of athletes, and I'm just being blunt when I say this, that are lazy. And they just wanted to get paid for a company to use their likeness.
Well, that's what, we got checks.
Yes.
Because the company would take, and I always said this.
Yes.
Whenever we talk about, hey, I'm looking at this person, okay, what can I do to utilize that person? Meaning, like, it's up to me.
Of course.
So how I'm going to handle the media, how I'm going to ask them for content that I can utilize and put money behind.
Yes.
Because I believe they can speak well, they represent the product well,
Yes.
they take the product, their physique looks a certain way, they just know how to do the duty, right?
Yes.
And they have a following.
Yes.
Like, they've already built up, so you have to pay them based on that appreciation. Now,
Of course.
how do you determine a value of what someone's worth? Let's just say, okay, Cutler Nutrition. I want to hire, someone like myself. I'm going to call myself in the third person. I'm going to say, I want to hire Jay Cutler. Okay, let's just say it's whatever company. It's just a normal company. Yeah. How do I determine my value?
How do you determine it, or how does the company?
How do I determine to say to a company, I want X, and I'm not out of my mind for asking that?
You have to have, if you want X, you have to have a reason where you come up with that number. And that could be for kind of, how do I say this?
Isn't there an industry standard, though? Like, does someone get paid $2,000, $3,000,
No.
$5,000, $10,000, $20,000?
Everything is situational. With you, it's different because you have a 20-year history of success.
I know, but I'm not me. I'm just a widget, like a person. I'm just a guy, okay?
But I'm saying, if I was trying to do something for you, I'm going to look at you and go, okay, this person has 20-year history. I can go to this. I can see them at an expo, and I can see how long the lines are. I can watch the interaction with the fans. I can go to their social media, and I can look at
they post.
I can look at how much they post, and I can put when they post. Do they put effort into it, or do they just do the basic bare minimum? Do they just post a picture with a link and say nothing else? Or do they flip the camera on them and actually talk and put some effort into it?
Because you can't really go by the following and
you can't.
The engagement, right? Because sometimes
I've had
right?
people. I have people that I've worked with in the past that have millions of followers, and they can't sell shit. They can't. They don't have any type of turnaround for the company.
I know, but how do you teach them to do that?
You have to sit down and explain it to them. A lot of times with newer talent, I will tell them, see what Jay does, and watch what like Dana and Bailey does, because they're really good at it.
Yeah, but you know what? I'm not a salesman.
You don't need to be.
But you know what I am? I'm a guy that, and this is how I determined what deals I structured, okay? I would say, okay, what do I utilize on a daily basis, okay? Do I take a supplement? I use a weight belt. I go to the gym, I wear a certain thing. Remember I had the outfit that I did legs on, so if I wear a certain shirt or I looked at, okay, what's that? We tan, we shave, we listen to music. So I took all those aspects and I said, okay, I used to reach out to companies and say, okay, if I utilize this, and I wasn't endorsing it, but I believed in it. So I believe, like, you have to look at what your daily essentials are. Listen, I have hair pay. I mean, I did it all. I had shampoo. I had all endorsement deals because I try to utilize everything that I used, and it's easy to showcase that when, hey, you're cooking your food every day. What utensils do you use? What food do you use? Yes. When you go to the gym and you take the products, okay, I'm taking it, I'm mixing it. Someone film it. It's kind of corny a little bit, right?
Yeah.
To sometimes when you think, especially someone that as you get a little deeper into age, right, you're doing these things, but that's how you market. Not, hey, post this up. Like, here, I'm selling this pre-workout. Buy it. Like
I always tell,
what is it? Like, what makes it different? How does it mix? How do you drink it? Do you dry scoop it? Do you put it in a glass? Do you shake it in a shaker? Do you take it on your way to the gym? Do you take it at the gym? Do you pull it out like as you're like, there's so many different aspects on how to utilize things. How did this shirt fit? Okay, is the collar tight? Is it, how do the sleeves sit on your arms? Is the length long enough? Like, you have to showcase all.
What it all comes down to is 2 words: effort matters. Mm-hmm. If you don't put the effort, your fans know if you put the effort in or not. People that follow you. And the difference is, there are somebody, like, let's say we were going to sell this water. There are some people that the company will say, hey, we're running a promo. They will take a picture of it and put 20% off code. That doesn't do anything. Just dry posting something doesn't do anything. But if I said to you, Jay, sell this water, I know what you're going to do. Mm-hmm. You're going to look at it. You're going to put the camera on you. You're going to say, hey, man, I just got this water in. I like this water for this and this and this reason. I drink this water at this time, this time, this time. You are going to go above and beyond, and somebody's going to listen to you. If someone just sees a still picture, they're going to look at it, and they're going to keep swipe. Okay,
I'm going to point something out. So this is I drink, okay? This is a water that I get sent to me.
Yes.
Okay, I do not have an endorsement deal with this.
Yep.
But I constantly post this. So when I mix my pre-workout, guess what water I'm mixing it in? When I'm at the gym drinking water or, taking video or pictures, guess what's in the background?
Exactly.
Guess what's being
we're talking about right now.
Yeah. On this. This is not an endorsement deal. So this is the kind of things, but they do send it to us.
Yeah.
And we appreciate that.
But again, effort matters,
but
and
that's
a lot of people won't do it.
Starts.
Yes,
right.
And sometimes that is how it starts, where you just really like a product, and you use the product, and they send it to you, and eventually now you could go to the table with the brand and say, "Hey, I've been using your product for 6 months. Mm-hmm. I want to talk about how I can get more involved with that." And one of the things I was going to say before is, I think the social media influencers have changed the game. Because before, like we said, a bodybuilder just got paid to use their likeness. What was happening is companies were paying all these bodybuilders, and then they started dabbling in, well, hey, this person's got a following on YouTube or this or this or this, whatever different platform, and they utilized it. And the people that were on these platforms didn't have the big resume. They didn't have the hardware or the titles or anything. And they thought, shit, this company's going to do this for me. I'm going to go above and beyond. And they learned that craft of how can I sell this product without being a salesman, just marketing it properly, put that little extra effort in. So now what's happened is you have companies that expect, if they sign somebody and they say, hey, I'm paying you X amount of dollars, you have to get me these many sales or you're not of value to me. And to me, that's the wrong thing to do as well. Because if you sign somebody, it's not their job to be a salesman.
You don't know how their job is. So when you're actually hiring someone, you don't know what their selling capability absolutely is. I mean, you can get an idea of watching the media if you have the right person.
If you know
running
how
your
to
program.
Run it. Yes.
But most people are hiring these athletes to represent a brand by how they look.
Yes.
And what their following is.
Yes. Then they automatically assume if you have 1 million followers, and I have companies pitch this stuff to me all the time. Hey, I can do this, that, and the other for your athlete. They got 4 million followers. We're going to convert at 15%. So you're going to make this. And it doesn't work that way.
So is there a certain, like if someone has 500K on Instagram, I'm going to use Instagram, which, that's what people look at today, right? Yeah. Which there's a whole lot. There's TikTok, there's Snapchat, there's Facebook, which used to be king, back in the day. Yeah. Is there a set value on someone that has 500,000, 1 million?
I think
1.5, 2 million.
Certain companies have set values. If they're looking like for single post, they'll say, if you have this much, this is how much we're going to pay you.
What if you have 1 million followers on Instagram? What would you determine what would you say? Because I'm trying to people watching our podcast. how do you determine what is someone worth? If I have 1 million followers on Instagram,
I personally, I don't care what your following is. I know how
but
to.
you have, but dude,
I do, but if you have 1 million followers, I can look.
Are you worth $3,000 a month?
It depends. I'm going to dissect your following. I'm going to look and see where your following is. How many are men? How many are women? There's software that can determine these things. Then I'm going to go read the comments. I'm going to watch your social media for a while. I'm going to go back 6 months and I'm going to see how you acted on your social media back then. Is this something new? Or are you just trying to get a deal so you're working harder more?
Are you looking social media at only Instagram?
No, it depends. Like, it depends on the brand.
TikTok's big now.
TikTok's big. Instagram, you can look at Instagram. You can look at YouTube. YouTube's going to drive more sales than anything else.
So everyone should have a YouTube channel.
Everyone should.
Anyone that has a following.
And I've always said this: if you post something on Facebook, Instagram, whatever else, people are going to see it in a certain time frame, and then it's going to fall back. If you put something on YouTube, it's there forever. And how many times have you been interested in something, whether you were going to buy something and you searched it and you looked at the video and it was from 2017?
Yeah.
And
well, you can also monetize
all
these things.
Yes.
Instagram Reels, your TikToks, your YouTube. I mean, Snapchat, everything is monetized these days.
One other thing I wanted to say is, so a company will, let's say a company wanted to sign you and they're paying you $5,000 a month. And a month into it or 2 months into it, the owner goes, well, you're not getting me $5,000 worth of sales. And they point the finger at you. When in reality, there's 100 or 1,000 variables that go into if somebody buys or not. Mm-hmm. If you drive traffic to a website, that's your job as an athlete, to endorse it, to put a face behind it, and create awareness for it. However you can do this, whether it's videos, whether it's posts or whatever, or just talking about it. But if you drive traffic to a website, and you're buying it from your phone, why is that athlete being responsible for sales when your website might not be set up right? It might be difficult to buy. Your shipping department might take too long to ship. You might not have good products. Somebody could say, hey man.
Or good enough sales.
Like somebody could go, hey, Jay Cutler told me to buy this. And they go look and there's 50 negative comments on it. Well, they might not buy because of that. Or they might go to the website, and I've done this in the past, where you go to buy something and you got to click here, then you got to fill all this out, and then you got to click here, you got to fill all this out, and you got to go here, here, here. Next thing you know, if you can't capture a sale within 2 or 3 clicks, somebody's going to go on. But another thing is this company constantly coming out with new things for that athlete to talk about?
A lot, yeah.
And companies don't do this, because I have athletes that are with major brands that don't come out with stuff often. And therefore, they're not going to have the same sales, because you can only say to somebody, buy this same water so many times, where people are like, okay, I got it. But now if this water comes out with a mojito flavor or a raspberry flavor. Innovation. But if they come out with something different, now it's something for you to be more excited about. Mm-hmm. So there's so many variables to whether or not an athlete can convert. And their conversion is not, in 99 times out of 100, it's not up to them. It's up to the brand. Their job is to drive you traffic. Your job is to close the deal. No different than if you want to buy a car. Whatever marketing they spend out there is to get awareness to you and get you to that dealership. Once you get to the dealership, it's the salesperson's job to close the deal. And in this case, it's more of a virtual salesman. The athlete drives the traffic. The company has to be able to convert that sale once you've got it. It's out of their control. And if they get a sale, okay, let's say we'll use Cutler Nutrition for example. You do a post and somebody buys this flavor. Well, if you're not constantly coming out with new stuff, how long is that person going to keep buying that same thing? And next thing you know, they look on there, and then, this other company comes out with a new flavor, and now they're seeing another person they follow. They don't just follow you.
Of course not.
They follow hundreds of people, and they're getting barraged with all these different brands. So if you have a raspberry flavor and they've used it 2 or 3 times, and then all of a sudden a mojito flavor comes up, they're like, hey man, I've been using this raspberry forever. This company I'm using isn't coming out with anything new. So now they go buy from another brand. So the companies that are constantly coming out with new, it doesn't have to be a new innovative product. It's just something else to talk about.
Or it has to look cool with videos like J-Mac does for me. He's the brains behind the funny commercials too, by the way. So,
but again, that's something else as well, because if somebody looks at it and laughs, they're going to remember it. And you know what they're going to do? man, this thing's funny, especially like when you did the one where you fucking hit the thing down. And
that was his idea.
You know what's funny? I told someone was asking me about that.
And it smashed all
and I
the
went,
floor.
Yo, like he really hit it and it exploded all over the floor.
Well, the funny thing is we, so is that our most popular, what would you say is okay, so I put a mustache on him in the supplement store. We do this. So we even had this idea. This was
you know what I want you to do
one.
At this point in the podcast right now, I want you to splice in and play the video so they understand and then get back to the podcast.
This one has the I don't know how to say it, but it sounds good.
Okay.
Damn, there's 15 grams of sugar in this?
Trust me.
Who the was that guy?
I don't know. I think he played quarterback or something.
So when we did this video, this was like one of the original videos we planned on doing, correct? Like, I think this was even the first video. We were in a pandemic, so we couldn't go in the supplement shops.
Because I remember you had to take the mask on and off.
Just because I was respectful. But, and, we did like 3 takes because he's like, you're not hitting it hard enough. And on the last take, the cap blew open and the shit went everywhere.
But it was real. It's authentic.
And I felt bad because, we took over the store and, of course, there was people in and out that day and we were pulling masks on and off and we were shooting like by the cash register just because I was like placing the protein in. And shout out to Vegas Discount, too, for letting us do that. But, that was just really, it was like one of those unique commercials. And that's one thing that, like, creativity is important to market a brand. And people have caught on now to, we have the dogs in there and like we just did a mojito commercial, which was really cool. So
think of it like this. That commercial's funny.
Yeah.
So somebody sees it. You know what they're going to do with that commercial?
Yeah,
they're going to forward it to their
they're
friend. Oh my God, watch this. This shit is funny. This shit is funny. So now because you put the effort in.
But it's a little out of my character too.
It is.
So,
but if somebody has no idea who you are, they're going to say, yo, this thing is funny. Watch it. Even if they have no idea who Jay Cutler is or the Jay Cutler football player, or if they caught that thing at the end when he said, hey, I think he played football.
Yeah.
That gets out there more and it's going to open the doors for other things. But it's something that your talent, if you were a major company, you could take that and put it out there and it's funny. And then it gets more,
Listen,
more
one thing I can suggest to you guys on media is be your funny self.
Of course.
Don't always be so serious, and if you're trying to sell something like, or put eyes on something,
yes,
make it a little comical.
Yeah.
Do something that's a little silly.
Pick on yourself.
Yeah. Like,
self-satire.
In essence, I'm just like Marty's commercial is on just like showcasing my funnier side, which, is very dry, but, I still have that side. Everyone has it, right? So it's about getting comfortable on camera. And listen, I came out of the gate. I was not very talkative. I wasn't an expert at marketing. And I think that truly I believe in things, and that's what made my product following so great, right? Yeah. Is just because I showcase what I believe in and how I use it and how it works in my routine,
Certain people are just really good at content, and I always tell this to any athlete that's wanting to learn who to follow, who puts out good content. Dana and Rob Bailey put out unbelievable content. They have a really good team, and when Dana and Robert are with Trifecta, and whenever we have a sale or something coming up, I'll message Rob about it, and he'll say, "What do you want from me?" And I will always say the same thing. Just be Rob Bailey, because he will just do something off the top of his head that is funny and unique, and that's what gets it. It can't be the same thing over and over. This is my favorite product for this reason. Like, put some effort into it. Like, I don't know if you saw Rob did the short 30-second commercial, and it was for Trifecta, and he's going down because they had all their Black Friday stuff, and they had all these pizzas. And he's filming it going down like, no. And then he flips to the Trifecta, yes. And he's like, hey, do this with Trifecta. And it looks like a genuine person talking about something that they believe in. But it was funny because they're laughing at all the good, all the junk food, but they're eating good food.
I wonder if they ate the pizza.
I don't know if they did. Probably. I mean, who the hell can turn down a slice of pizza?
I would have had the pizza for sure.
You're full of shit. No, you wouldn't have. There's times we've had pizza there and you don't eat it. But yeah, what it comes down to is if you want to be successful in this industry, you have to look at the people that are successful and see what they're doing and find a way to implement it into your routine and be genuine, be authentic, and that'd be the best advice.
Like you follow these people for the training aspects and
Yeah.
like you know, hey, how can I learn techniques and this and that? Maybe diet, whatever they do. Watch what they do on the outside for their marketing for obviously their potential.
And for brands, someone who runs a brand, the best advice I would give to them is make sure your team, the people who are helping you pick athletes, know what they're doing, understand, the difference between someone who has 2 million followers that are not going to drive you the traffic you want. You have to know your audience. If you're trying to sell a pre-workout, I don't care if a girl's got 10 million followers. If she's got all ass shots showing there, she's not going to sell your product.
So she shouldn't put the pre-workout on her ass and take a picture?
You'll get a bunch of likes, but if somebody that's looking for that is not worried about...
Yeah, you don't think you'd buy it if it was sitting on the girl's ass?
It would depend on the discount.
All right, so listen.
You're going to do that ass discount now?
I want to touch on something that came across the news. Dave Draper.
Yes.
79 years old, passed away this past week, which was, one of the guys I watched when I came into this thing.
Yeah, it was what?
Blonde Bomber.
It was what? Him, Arnold, Franco, and Louis were like the 4 big names in Pumping Iron, weren't they?
Yeah, well, no, Mike Katz was in there.
Mike Katz was in there. Yeah, that's right. But yeah, I mean, it's
he was one. He was in a couple films, and obviously he lived a lengthy life, successful career. Joe Weider loved him for his, his blonde hair. Like I said, they called him the Blonde Bomber. But as we've seen a lot of, in this era now, we've seen a lot of people passing away just like in normal life. 79 was obviously an age that we all strive to reach and, maybe even further. Like I said, I just lost my dad at 92 and he was great until he was 89, until he had a fall. But, you look back now on people's legacy and kind of the mark that they left. And he was one of the icons because bodybuilding, man, like really transpired since, the 50s and 60s. And, he was one of the early pioneers. He trained at the Gold's Gym, original Gold's Gym. And, I know there was a lot of interaction from people, how much of an impact he left on people. So
did you know, I've never met him.
I didn't know him personally, but I admired him from the books. That's one of the guys that I looked at and, looking back now, I mean, I would call him what they would call classic bodybuilding because he wasn't overly large, but, great body. Yeah. And like I said, what they utilized back then was way different from now.
Of course.
I mean, as far as supplements and food and diet techniques, and remember a full-time career as a bodybuilder, like they didn't have that back in that era.
They were the guinea pigs.
Yeah, I mean, they worked jobs. They would train for 3 or 4 or 5. They trained more than ever, probably overtrained. Very limited equipment, very limited exercises, no social media to see what the newest and best is, but the equipment was the thing. The legs today are so much bigger on the guys than the past. I mean, they used to do hamstring curls and that was it. Stiff-legged deadlifts maybe. Now you have like seated leg curls, standing leg. You have so many different variations and guys like what about glute training? Like that didn't even exist up until 10 years ago. I didn't train glutes really, So I mean, it's just advanced so much. So he'll be missed greatly. He'll leave that legacy, and I'm sure people will be talking about this in the next few weeks.
Yeah, I didn't. I've never met him. I've watched him in the movies. I always knew, the Pumping Iron. I always knew who he was. Yeah, I didn't know a lot about him. But.
Yeah, I know he left his wife, and so condolences to his family, friends, obviously his loved ones. So let's get into some questions. We've had a lot of great. I know our first question is going to be the Brian Shaw question, but. We just, I just sent you over the MSN thing on Brian Shaw. I don't know if you saw that, J-Mac, but here's our mailman delivering our mail. But so Brian Shaw.
And you were on MSN.com.
Yeah, which is huge.
That's like mainstream media, right? The front page, you and him flexing.
Cool. Yeah.
I think it said something like 4-time Mr. Olympia teaches world's strongest man how to train biceps or something.
Yeah,
That's pretty cool.
I'm still sore from that workout. All right, let's. So
All right.
go
So
ahead.
the first question is, I saw your interview with Brian Shaw. Do you truly think Brian Shaw could compete as a bodybuilder?
100%.
Okay, why do you think that is?
Because he has the structure and he's not midsection heavy. He's actually, I've seen him lean down, like,
I've seen him with a six-pack, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, listen, he's 415 today, and he's been 450 or bigger.
Yeah.
He definitely said that, his endurance and his mobility is better at a lower weight, so I think he competes around 400, right, at the world's strongest.
This last year, I think he said he was 405.
Okay, so he wants to be closer,
all the way up to 450. He has just depends on the movement.
But I think now they're making it a little more difficult for these guys. It seems like if someone's great at something, they pull that obstacle out, right? So I think he could do it. I think if he got on a it would probably take him a year to do the transition. Absolutely. I think anyone, no matter what, he's got a lot of muscle behind him, a lot of density, and I think he could do really well.
If he does it, are you going to train him?
Yes.
There you go. His coach actually reached out and said, whenever you're ready to do a Brian Shaw challenge, he'll write a diet for you today to see if you can eat what he eats. That'd be kind of good. Maybe we'll give it a shot one day. You have always been a car person. What is your favorite car and why?
My favorite car is the Rolls-Royce Wraith. Actually, my favorite car that I want is the Porsche Carrera GT. It's non-existent anymore. It was actually the one that Paul Walker passed away in the car accident with. Very limited. I think they're closer to $1 million now for that car, but that was always my dream car. I should have bought it when it came out at $400,000. That was crazy back in 2004 or whatever. But I would say the Wraith.
What makes the Rolls-Royce Wraith that?
The Wraith there's nothing that drives like it. It's just like you're driving on a cloud. I just like the look of it. Obviously I have a customized Wraith, which I love. It just, I don't think you can get much better than that, to be honest. I'm not into sports cars as much either. So
what is the best cardio equipment to use to burn fat?
That's a good question. It's kind of a, I don't think there's any piece that's more beneficial. I think that there's certain elements to each movement that you do. Like if you ask me what I did to get in my best shapes, I've gotten in my best shapes using every piece of cardio equipment there is. Okay. Stairs have this whole theory that, when you do the rotating stairs, you're working the glutes more. And yes, definitely my glutes got probably more conditioned stepping on stair mill. I like the elliptical. I like bike work, but I'll be honest, like incline treadmill did great for me. Like I'm going to make a comparison, like 2001 Olympia. I walked my dog around the neighborhood for cardio. I did no cardio.
That was like one of your best shapes ever.
Yes. 2009, I did step mill and treadmill. Okay. I did usually like 40 and 40, but I would probably do 30 minutes of stairs and 10 minutes of treadmill and did longer strides. I looked great there too. 2005, when I thought I could have won the Olympia, I did only bike. So there's no piece that's going, it's all about getting heart rate a little elevated, burning calories and keeping metabolism. So a walk in the neighborhood is as good as doing stairs and everything else. It's just consistency with doing it combined with a great diet.
Yeah, I was going to say it almost...
It's more diet.
You can get just as much out of a bike as you can a treadmill. It just depends on how
now, if you're working for
it.
health rate, I mean, obviously intervals on any cardio equipment is better, right? So high, low kind of intensity.
Jay, will Cutler Nutrition ever come out with a RTD or an energy drink?
I've looked into the RTDs. Obviously, I need heavy distribution right now. I'm more of a direct brand, meaning I sell only through Amazon and through online. But I am looking hopefully in 2022 to maybe look at RTD pre-workout.
So RTD is going to be more, it's going to go more into retail
stores. More
stores.
Distribution. I mean, I'm a fan of some of these, like Redcon has a good pre-workout. I like the taste of theirs, and
or
it
even a
seems to be in every
protein
gym.
drink or whatever. It's every gym we go to. There's always a
You just need a lot of distribution, and that means outside of, to ship anything that's like an RTD or whatever, it's a little more expensive, especially now with shipping rates.
And the last question, Las Vegas seems to be the new Mecca. Why do you think so many people are relocating to Las Vegas?
Keeps coming up, this question.
People ask, just last night I had a conversation with someone about why do I live here? I was on the phone.
I would tell you the key points of Las Vegas is the theory is that people believe it's cheaper than everywhere else, which is not necessarily true right now because real estate's through the roof. Obviously, our registration fees are expensive. You pay for less in areas, but you pay for more in others. But the climate is amazing. Okay, it does get a little hot in the summers, but right now our weather's 75 yesterday. 24-hour city, 24-hour gyms. I think right now you see a lot of media leading here that's building towards people moving here for the culture, meaning there's a lot of news in bodybuilding and fitness, like people are migrating here. The Olympia's here.
The USA's, which is the most prestigious.
Yeah, USA's are normally here, which, hopefully they're coming back this year. But no state income tax.
And
that's probably the best. And if you want to talk about Henderson.
Yeah, just like last night I was messaging.
Okay, so Henderson has the cheapest real estate tax, right, in the whole country.
I read an article a long time ago that it's the lowest in the country, and I was just for shits and giggles last night, I looked up a house on the eastern part of Las Vegas.
It's considered Las Vegas.
Yes.
Because Henderson's different.
Yeah. It was $500,000, and it said the monthly taxes were like $460.
Okay.
And the same $500,000 house in Henderson, it was like $125 or $130. So the taxes,
a quarter.
It's 25% of it, and that's probably why you see up in like the hills those insane expensive mansions, because the property taxes are so low. If you have that same house in Miami or California, you're going to pay an obscene amount just for taxes and insurance because there's no natural disasters here either.
Yeah.
So you're not paying, $5,000 a month for insurance because you're on the water in Florida or you're on the water in California or whatever else.
Where do you live, Jay? Henderson or? Yeah, he's in Henderson.
Your taxes are super low, aren't they?
So I'm going to tell you the reason I moved here. Accessibility. There were 24-hour gyms, which I didn't have in California where I lived prior. No state income tax. Moved my businesses here. I have my LLCs here. Real estate. I came for real estate. At the time, it was a lot cheaper. And yes, you can get an unbelievable home in Las Vegas comparable to California or New York or. I mean, listen, there's places in the Midwest. I mean, you talk about some of these other places, even Wisconsin or, Montana and Utah. We talk about Utah all the time. Every place has its ups and downs with what you, why people migrate there. But if I was to say the most convenient thing about Vegas is you wake up every day to pretty much the same weather.
Yes.
Like it rarely rains. Yes, you have a big swing in how hot it gets, but you know what? You get maybe 3 months of extreme heat, but I'll tell you, the nights in Vegas during those summer months are amazing. I mean, 100 degrees with no sun. But
there's no humidity, so you don't feel
no humidity.
gross.
But, listen, we don't work outdoors, like I mentioned. I mean, our business is indoors most of the time. Yes, we do a lot of transit. But we have our choice whether, we work from home or we work from an office that has air conditioning or whatever else. It's suitable, but also the accessibility to fly certain places. Like there's late flights that leave in and out here.
They leave all day.
And, yes, a lot of places we're United Flyers, so we don't necessarily have a hub here. But we're on a coast. We're close enough to California, which, I extremely like the weather there. We can go to Utah. I mean, we can go to the mountains. We can go anywhere, really pretty accessible driving distance. And, it's just, I think it just comes down to cost of living. And listen, it is called now the newer age of bodybuilding, like, between Flex and Fit Club and Kilo Club and Lift Factory and
But even the LVACs they're
LVACs,
amazing.
the EOSs are
What
great.
is it, $20 a month, and you can go to any of them.
Yeah.
The other thing I've said too is if you're on a diet, this is one of the few places where if you really wanted, you could go out to eat 5 times in a day and not break your diet in Vegas, because there's so many restaurants that can prepare healthy, exact to what you want. Food.
Yeah, Teriyaki Boy, Teriyaki Madness.
Protein House, Protein Source,
House, yeah.
Greens and Proteins.
Greens and Proteins, yeah.
The egg places, they
Baja's,
can make
Baja's
Stacks and Yolks. They can make what you want. So if you go into one of these restaurants and say, hey, I need 10 ounces of chicken and I need 2 cups of white rice and some vegetables steamed, no problem. And you can't always get that in the other places around America.
Yeah. I eat out at Sunny Side Up too. They're really good in Boca Park.
I've only been there once.
Yeah,
once or twice we went there.
So there's a lot of great reasons. I don't know about calling it the new Mecca. I joke about it a little bit, but the Mecca is the Mecca. I mean, you have the East Coast Mecca, which is Steve Weinberger's, and then the Mecca, which is Gold's Gym Venice, and that's why we love it here.
Yeah, it's a nice dump.
Yeah,
that's it.
So appreciate everyone following. Make sure you guys subscribe, like. Make sure you guys share. Remember, the bobbleheads are available. jcutlershop.com, along with this shirt. This is one of my signature legend tees that's also available.
I don't even have one of those.
Yeah, I have all colors, so I'll have to get you a couple. I just don't know if they make 3X. So shout out to everyone out there that's keeping us in the loop with everything, and appreciate it. Make sure you guys comment below, and we are out for Cutler Cast this week.